Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, preppers, prepping outside the box. It's Josh, and I almost wanted to take this topic into a live stream because it's such an in-depth topic and it's so much to talk about that I'm probably going to break this up into like 4 parts, just so you guys get the information. But we're going to be talking about fortification of a home, just the home itself. We're not going to be getting into property. That's a whole nother video that we can do on later. But this would be your part 1 of fortification of a home. And we're talking about this in SHTF. It's not in preparation, it's not preparing your home for times of peace. There are things like, I know Prepper Nation's talked about those door locks and jams and stuff like that. There's things you can do that's, peaceful time, maybe interruptions, just to make your house more secure against robbers and things like that, right? But we're talking about deep in SHTF, looters, teams, whatever it is that's wanting to go in, cause you harm, take your stuff, whatever it is, right? All right, so let's break it down. And on this one, we're gonna cover basically the entry, the door, okay? And that's almost the only thing we're gonna talk about. So first off, go to your entryways, go to your front door, your back door, because you're gonna have a different layout for all of them, and you want to have an understanding. All this information that I'm going to say or give, suggestions, whatever you want to call it, is going to be something that you can take away and go, okay, well, I can't do exactly what he was talking about, but I have this, X, Y, and Z, and I can apply it in the same principle, okay? So you look at your front door, open it up, look inside your home. Open it as wide as you can so you get a good view, right? And that's the fatal frontal. So anybody that's entering your house, the first thing they see is the fatal frontal. And that's why it's so dangerous to do room clearing. And you can avoid it whenever you can. But that's their fatal frontal. It's arguably the most dangerous thing for any group or whatever to be going into a house, the first man in. It's a very dangerous job. But anyways, fatal frontal. So that's what they're looking at, and that's what we're trying to combat. We're going to be thinking like a bad guy a little bit and going along the lines of what people do and trying to combat that, almost harass and demoralize, right? So I will be going back down to the notes every once in a while. I don't want to mess this up, and there's a lot of information in my head anyways that's rolling around, so stick with me here. All right, so you're looking at that doorway, you got that fatal frontal. Like I said, it's the most dangerous part of it. And now most people that have a knowledge of how to do room clearing, teams and things like that, people that have a background in that have been doing it for years, that's what we're trying to combat. The everyday Joe, whatever, that comes by and just wants to loot and be, a D-bag, is not necessarily who we're worried about. We're worried about people that really know what they're doing, people that have been working with their team and they know how to room clear, right? And now before I even get into this, we're gonna go real basic idea of how to stop it, because there's 1,000 ways to skin that cat, and depending on who you talk to about room clearing or just entry or anything, you're gonna get probably a different variation of an answer depending on their background or what they've done or who they've trained with and all that stuff. I've been taught multiple different ways, and all of them have their purpose. Situation, kind of dictates which one might be better for what you're doing. So there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, but we'll just go real basic. So anyways, we're trying to impede that person's movement, choke them up. The person that knows what they're doing, right? So first of all, just kind of take note, does the door move in and out? I know, back doors might be different than front doors, and your adjustment on what you're doing for the fortification of that is gonna be a little different, right? And there's some things you can do immediately. So let's just kind of play through this. The first man that's coming through, right? Bam, opens the door up. Let's say that you have blocked off heavy object, the door, so it cannot fully open. The first instinct that someone's gonna do that's entering is most likely push into that door, into the wall as hard as possible, because if it's a person, they wanna pin them so they can deal with them after they've assessed what's going on, right? So they'll push that door in as hard as they can. If they can't do that, well, right now you've impeded their momentum, right? You've made them have to change on the fly and all that kind of stuff. So you're starting that little bit of path of resistance, I guess you could say, of just the simple thing of blocking the door's pathway of opening all the way. Now second man comes in. So second man's coming in behind him, and while the first guy is already dealing with his new situation, which he will get around and he will fix himself. It's not something that's completely going to stop them, obviously. But let's say the second man does take that left. And like I said, we're going easy. And fatal frontal takes his turn, right? So he's going left, he's scanning. Most of them, most people, not everybody, is going to scan out and look for threats, right? They're going to look for what's going on, and then they assess up and down, all that kind of stuff, but not immediately. So when they're entering and they're hooking, you can take things like towel racks and put some wood blocks in there to raise it up a little bit and drill that sucker into the ground. It's something that's not going to impede your motion around the house so much that you can't function normally, right? And this is, like I said, deep in an SHTF. You look a little awkward in peacetime, having everybody over for Thanksgiving with things drilled in the floor like that. But you can take things like that, something that'll catch them up, trip them, stop their momentum, cause a little bit of chaos in their movement, right? And demoralize them. Anything that's going to give you, wherever you're positioned, which is another topic, the advantage, right? And that's what we're going for. It's demoralization, stop the movement, or momentum, slow the momentum, and advantage. So they turn, they hit that rack, they trip, they fall, whatever it is. Awesome. There's another way you can do it too. I've got some heavy dumbbells, stuff you don't just kick out of the way, and they can be played in conjunction with it. We're not going all home alone, not throwing down freaking micro machines and stuff like that. Something realistic. It could be an area of the house where now that is where I do some of my workout or whatever, right? But just place them right there so they have something in the way that's not going to be easily stepped over, not going to be easily moved over, right? And if they're tripping on the bar and then they go into the weight, if you can get them to fall, great. And that's kind of the purpose, right? Getting them to get off their feet and on their ass, all right? Because they most likely have somebody coming behind them. Now the first guy probably got out of the way, the second guy trips up, falls, if he does, third guy comes in, third guy, fourth guy, they're following in this same kind of pattern, so now they're having to deal with this. So now you're not just getting into the mind and messing with the morale, I guess, of the guy that fell or got tripped up, you're messing with the guys that are witnessing it. Now hopefully, well, for their sake, they're paying attention, lead before med and all that, and they're paying attention to what's going on before dealing with their buddy, assessing their situation. And that's probably what they're doing. But if not, another part of the psyche you're trying to mess with, a little demoralization. So let's go a little bit further into it. We talked a little bit, heavy objects and bars and things, tripping and all that momentum part. So let's go back just a second and talk about the door. If I'm a bad guy and I'm breaching, some people go, doorknob and deadbolt and we'll blast it out, whatever, right? And they want to go in that spot. They want to hit that spot and open it up because of the hinges. If I had my shotty on me, I'm going for the hinges, right? And then you can kick that thing in. There's other people. People can have all kinds of things to breach a door. No matter what, the door's coming open. So you guys can plan all you want, but we're trying to plan for you being able to use the door, for one, and for two, still be able to secure it, still be able to fortify it. So while I'm over here, pop, pop, pop to the hinges, and then kick open the door, we're inside your house and dealing with, the next threat. You want to maybe save a little time. Consider maybe getting some deadbolts. Don't put them on now. Put them on if it's really bad, right? And just alternate in between the hinges. You could throw two on there, and now it's not as easy as popping the hinges and kicking that door open. Now they have extra oomph that's going to be, securing your entryway. It's not going to open as easy. Like I said, no matter what, the door's coming open. It's just how long it's going to take. And the longer it takes, the more demoralizing it is. It's nothing's worse than just standing outside of a door, banging on it, and trying to get in it and not being successful at all, right? And that's what you're trying to cause, trying to get in their head. So another part. Sorry, I just bounced around a little bit, got a little off track. So like I said, don't rely on your door to stay closed because it won't. And it goes back to, it might be to the point where we're not just sitting there. Yeah, they might get the door open, but also what if you get to the point where you're deterring their movement? If they're not some organized team or whatever it is, and they're trying to get in and it's that hard, that might deter them from using that doorway. Now they're moving to the next thing. Might still be your house, but it might not be that doorway because it's just too much for them, right? And then going back into the entryways, right? Going back into that side. So just some items to consider for short entryways. I've got an entryway here that you literally open the door and it's stairwell and it's a like archway or whatever into the living room, and then you go over and you turn to the right and it's a hallway and all that other stuff, right? So we've already talked about messing up the right side with the door. Again, it's not going to completely stop their path, but it will slow their momentum, possibly, hopefully. But anyways, going over to that other side, some things you could do is get baby gates, right? Secure ones, not the ones that just pop out and clamp down, but the ones that screw into the wall. Not something you put up now. Easy to get by when you're moving around your house. When you're in an SHTF and you're bugging in your house, it's not going to completely impede your movement. But you can get the ones that drill into the wall and secure. Now when somebody's entering, they're hemmed up. They have to reach down. They have to let go, hand off their rifle. They have to look possibly. They have to try to do something, try to get over that, try to kick it out of the way, but now they're impeded again. They have one more thing, one more obstacle in their way that is not making this an easy job and showing them again that you're not some soft target, you're a hard target, right? Another fun one could be, if you want to be a little more cruel, I guess, you could get a bar, hinge bar that can come down and lock, right? You could keep it out of the way all the time. It can be popped up, secured with whatever fashion, so it's never in your way. And when stuff starts popping off and you need to sit there and secure yourself, you can drop that bar down, let it lock in place, but make sure it's about belly button high, right? I mean, right up here. So no one's jumping over it. They have to either try to force their way through it, but if it's secured, great, right? If it's secured and locked in place, it's awesome. Now they have to go underneath it. Now if one person on your team is inside their setup ready to go, they've got someone ducking into the room, not being able to exactly move as freely and easily, right? So now you're doing a little more of that demoralization, that little bit of mess up, trying to get their momentum up, messed up and things like that. And that's the whole purpose of it. When talking about a doorway entry, we're trying to mess up their momentum, stop them from doing what they want to do as easy and gain the advantage, okay? Because like I said, if they want to get in, they're going to get in. Whether it be the door or not, I still say that door's coming down. There's a lot of ways to do it. But slowing them down, making it hard, making yourself a hard target is what we're getting at right now. So again, this is part one. We're talking about just that. But anything when you're fortifying, anything that deters, slows, or stops their momentum, you know what I mean, is what we're trying for. It's not going to be, your castle fortification, pull up the drawbridge, they're coming in. So just keep it in mind. Look at your layout, like I said, kind of bounce it around, different ways to do it. And if you have ideas or anything like that you think that should be changed, or if you don't think it would work, throw it in the comment section. I'd love to go back and forth with you just to discuss it, right? It'd be fun. So that's part one, fortifying the home, just the entryway, right? We'll get to the next one hopefully tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about windows. And then we'll go into it again. We'll talk about stairwells and probably choosing the ideal position inside your home to secure it, right? So until tomorrow, I'll see you then.